What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chimpact. This is my week 1 GBA match against Kooper. Kooper made it to the finals last year, and I couldn't get past round 1 of the playoffs, so he's definitely got a better record than me in terms of, obviously, the overall record of last season, but looking to redeem myself this season. Definitely going to try to win the championship here. And let me know if you guys are excited for the Scizors to, make it back in the playoffs, get back in the playoff picture, etc., etc. This season is going to be harder than the last because of the fresh new faces and just Sun and Moon being new in general. I don't really think my draft is the greatest because I'm really top heavy. I don't think I'm really going to be bringing my bottom 3 or 4 Pokemon that often. So we'll see. Here, I look at his team. I see no Manaphy, which is pretty amazing. But at the same time, not really too concerned about that because my game plan was just to get off the Steam Eruption with Volcanion or Ice Beam with my Kira Black and just pressure the Manaphy so much so that Belly Drum Azu can win. But, it's fine. He doesn't really have that. He does have Closter, which is something pretty threatening because I have Red Card on my Fortress. So I can only really switch Fortress in once on Closter, and I really cannot give it too many opportunities. But he does have the Klefki as well, which can set up screens, so was not really expecting him to bring Klefki, but he does bring it. Obviously it's Dragon Resist and Ice Resist as well, so it makes sense why he brought it. But here I'm just going to lead out with Thunderous. I was thinking about leading out with Kieran, but I didn't feel comfortable leading out with Thunderous just in case he did want to lead out with a potential Sash Breloom or something like that. I mean, lead out with Kieran against the Sash Breloom. So lead out with the Thunderous. As he leads out the Zapdos, I'm going to just go straight for the T-Bolt. He does have pressure, so there is the possibility of his Zapdos having Defog, which is something I definitely have to be concerned about. His Zapdos definitely gets pressured by Stealth Rock, obviously, if I do get that off. And one thing I also want to mention is that I don't have leftovers on this Thundurus. When I got the Thundurus into my game, when I got it traded in, it had no item. It was supposed to be leftovers, but I didn't have a leftovers in my game either, so I just put a Gracium Z on it just for a Powdon. Because in case it has a Rindo Berry, I can just go for the Gracium Z and knock it out at around 75%. But don't have that. Not the greatest play going for Thunderbolt immediately against the Zapdos either, because even though it does force him to roost, I take a lot of damage off on my Thunder, so I can't really take anything else later on in the game. But it might not matter too much. So here I'm just going to go for the Ice Beam. It does a ton of damage to the Klefki. It does around 40%, so that's really solid. And here I'm just going to switch out to Volcanion. Having leftovers on the Thundurus would have been really nice just to switch in right here, but he's just going to go for the Light Screen, which is fine. I'm just going to go for the Flamethrower against his Klefki just to try to deal as much damage as possible to his team. I don't think that he'd go out into... I don't know, like he doesn't have a Fire Resist, so I'm just going to click the Flamethrower. And he goes out into the Reuniclus. So I'm thinking this might be AV, but if it was AV, I think he would prefer to go out into Reuniclus over the Klefki, just in case I did have Earth Power to go along with the Ice Beam on my Kyurem, which is definitely a possibility. But maybe he had Magnet Rise as well, which is why he was so comfortable going out into the Klefki. But I'm just going to go for another Flamethrower, and the first Flamethrower did around 40%, so I thought that he had Spadaf investment on his Reuniclus because it can do around 40 to 50% with Flamethrower through a Light Screen. But he's going to go for the Acid Armor, which is pretty good. He gets the... I get the burn on the Flamethrower against this Reuniclus. And I see that he is not Magic Guard, so he is Regenerator. So he's around 40%. He's going to heal to about 70%, 60%. And I'm just going to go for another Flamethrower, try to do as much damage as possible to the Zapdos. And if I didn't get the burn, I think he would have stayed in to recover or something. And the burn, we'll see how much it really matters later on in the game. Obviously I don't want any hacks to happen, and that was hacks, because flamethrowers, ideally it's you go for 10 flamethrowers and you get the burn on the 10th one. That's what I think is ideal. So he's gonna go for a T-Bolt, and it's gonna do a decent chunk to my Kyurem, but I can still take plenty of hits with this Kyurem. The Light Screen does wear off here, and here I'm going to double switch into my Volcanion for 2 reasons: to see if I can actually outspeed the Zapdos, which I know I can, probably because of how little it took from the Flamethrower, but I wanted to just make sure maybe he didn't speed creep me, and he doesn't. My Kyurem outspeeds his Breloom by 1 point if he's adamant, So he's just going to go for another light screen, and also wanted to go out to Volcanion to put pressure on the Klefki in case he did go out to Klefki, which he does. And here I'm just going to go for Specs Flamethrower, and it does not knock out the Klefki. Now here's I don't know about this play. I overthink it, and I decided to switch out into my Thunderous, half thinking I had leftovers, and half thinking that I didn't want him to go out to Cloister after I knocked out this Klefki with the Flamethrower. So he does go for Toxic, and it misses. Very, very solid for me. That means that this is my main answer to Breloom. If it is a Life Orb offensive variant or a Choice Band variant or a Focus Sash variant, because if my Kyurem takes any more damage, I'm going to die to a Mach Punch. So I go for Taunt on the Zapdos here. I believe the Light Screen are still up, so the Thunderbolt wouldn't have done that much anyway to the Zapdos. And here I'm going to switch into my Silvally because I don't really want my Kyurem to take any more damage. If my Kyurem takes any more damage, then I'm definitely in range of Mach Punch. At this point, only Adamant Life Orb Mach Punch knocks me out, but if he's Jolly, there's like a 6 out of 10 or 6 out of 16 chance to knock me out. So decided to go out to Silvally here, and he's going to go for the Toxic, and I'm just going to go for the Parting Shot against the Klefki. Obviously his only attacks that he would have, I think, I would rather him hit me than my next Pokemon. I would rather him hit Appa than my next Pokemon. So here I'm going to go out to Fortress, and I'm going to Volt Switch out here because I do not think that he is going to want to stay in with this Klefki here. And I'm going to Volt Switch out into, or if he stays in, but regardless, he goes out to Zapdos, and this is pretty good. I get some momentum. I'm going to be able to get the Volt Switch off, and it is looking to be pretty good. I will go out into my Kyurem. At this point, I was thinking, should I double again? I decided against it because if he stays in and Thunderbolts and didn't really pay attention to the speed, maybe he thinks he could get like a, I don't know. I just wanted to play it safe and go for the Ice Beam. Maybe knock out the Klefki because it did around 40%. Maybe it was a lower roll, and this time I can knock him out. But I think I did have a chance to knock it out there with a good roll. But he lives with a little bit of HP, and I'm just going to stay in and knock it out. When you play Pokemon, you gotta stay consistent, and this was not a consistent play on my part. I should have switched out into Fortress, because I know that he's probably not going to go for the Thunder Wave there. Probably set up Light Screen again, so I don't know what I was doing. Now he goes out to Breloom here, and I'm thinking this Breloom he might be bluffing the fact that he has Mach Punch, but at the same time, the only way that his Breloom kills me is if he's Adamant Life Orb or Banded or Jolly with Drain Punch. No, actually, Jolly with Drain Punch doesn't kill me. Jolly with Superpower. So I'm thinking there's no way that I feel like Kooper would be the guy that brings a bulky Breloom. So this is the reason why I decided to stay in. If I was up against anybody else, I probably would have switched out here. But I'm just gonna stay in, go for the Ice Beam as he goes to the Mach Punch, and I can live nearly every Mach Punch except for Adamant Life Orb. There's a chance for me to live Adamant Life Orb, but it's got to be a really, really low roll, and he does knock me out. So I'm gonna assume that this is Adamant Life Orb, and I'm just gonna go for the Hidden Power Flying here just to try to knock it out. I think the better play there was to actually just go for the Thunderbolt, because he either goes out to Zapdos or Cloister here, and I can 2-hit kill the Zapdos, which is very, very annoying to my team, and the Cloister takes around 70%, so I think Thunderbolt would have knocked it out unless it was Sash, but I don't think it was Sash. Gonna go out to Volcanion here because it's the only Pokemon that I really want to take a hit, because I want my Fortress alive to, like, if I go to Fortress here and he just goes for Ice Shard, then he gets a switch into a Pokemon, and it could be really, really bad if he does go out to Zapdos or Swellow, because Swellow can have Heat Wave, Hurricane, and a bunch of other moves, and he misses the Rock Blast there, which I probably would have just went for Spikes after, or Stealth Rock after I went out into, after this died into Fortress. That's pretty lucky on my part that he missed the Rock Blast. And this is actually a physical Swellow, so I'm going to expect this to be Facade, Protect, Brave Bird, and probably Heat Wave, so that he has something to hit my what's it called, Fortress with. So I'm just going to go for the parting shot here. I do have a multi-attack, but I'm just going to go for the parting shot. There's no reason to make any unnecessary plays here. There's no way that he's going to stay in against the Silvally Rock. He knows that this is Silvally Rock, so he is going to switch out into the Reuniclus here. And this is this is where him having the Reuniclus burned is actually going to help him. So I have Toxic on my Silvally, and this is a Reuniclus that I know has Regenerator because it's at 60%, 70% right now. So my game plan here is just to go for Raspin, set up all my hazards, and then sweep with Belly Drum Azu, because he needs Energy Ball to knock me out. And I don't know, there was like 3 different ways that I was thinking about this. Like, I could have just stayed in with Fortress, but if he was Calm Mind, then he was going to set up to +6, and +6 has a good chance of knocking me out after spikes. And if he does knock me out, then there are no hazards. So I just go for Rap Spin, then I go for spikes, and then I see that he actually has Calm Mind. So I'm beginning to panic a little bit because I really want him to attack, and the only way that I can force him to attack, obviously, is to go out to Thunderous and taunt it, but he could just attack anyway. So I'm not really too sure of what he's going to do. But the thing is, if he does attack, I do get the red card into a random Pokemon, and if his Reuniclus does come back in, it's not really going to be a threat anymore because it's going to be pretty low, so he's going to be forced to attack whatever Pokemon that I have in. But I'm thinking that with hazards up, the only Pokemon that can stop my Thundurus is Swellow, because Swellow's the only thing that outspeeds, and with Swellow plus Silvally, I have a very, very good chance of just winning. And I don't care if he Psychics here, because I'm just going to be able to go out into Belly Drum Azu, set up a Belly Drum, and knock it out with Knockoff. He sets up another Calm Mind, so he is at +1 right now. And +2 Spadef, I believe, so I'm just going to go for the parting shot here. He is at +2 special... He's at +2 special defense, +2 defense, and +1 special attack right now, because I did parting shot him earlier. So I'm going to go for another parting shot here, and I was half expecting him to go for the attack, which is the reason why I didn't go out into my Azumarill there, but he goes for the Acid Armor, which is interesting. So I don't know what HP he's at, because he recovered and all I did was click Volt Switch. So I don't really know how much HP he's at. He's at +2 special defense. Go for the Volt Switch. And here I'm just going to go out into my Azumarill. I know that he's probably not going to attack here because he's at 0 special attack. And he wasn't attacking earlier. So he's probably not going to attack now. And I can take a +1 Energy Ball with my Azumarill, because I know that he's max HP. And I'm thinking that he has a lot of Spadef investment. If he's Calm Mind Acid Armor, there's no way that he's running special attack, because there's no point in running special attack. So I'm just going to go for the Belly Drum, and I'm going to go for game because I set up the spikes, and he doesn't put me in range if he goes for Psychic here of Psychic knocking me out. If he does go for Psychic, but he goes for Calm Mind. So I'm really, really confused here, because I'm thinking that he has special defense investment because the Volcanian's Flamethrower didn't do enough. But it might have been a low roll, or might have been like just looking at the screen wrong, or like gauging the damage wrong. But here I'm just going to go for the knockoff, because this has a pretty decent chance of knocking him out, but it doesn't knock him out there. And he's going to go for the Psychic, and I do have a chance to live +1 Psychic as well. But my Azumarill dies there, and if he didn't kill my Azumarill, the timer is running really, really low at this point. It's around 15 minutes. I don't exactly, maybe it's at 20 minutes, maybe it's at 15, maybe it's lower, but it's getting pretty low. And here I'm thinking I pretty much got this win in the bag, because my Thundurus can knock out his Zapdos with the Thunderbolt. but I thought that his Zapdos was at 50%. I didn't think that it was at 60%, so I'm actually not sure if this Thundurus can even knock out this Zapdos at the amount of HP that it's at. So I really thought I had the game guaranteed won. If I knew that his Zapdos was at this amount of HP, I would have 100% went out into Silvally and clicked Toxic. 100% that would have been my play. But I wasn't keeping track of how much HP his Zapdos was at, and it's at 60%. So like I said, the timer's running down, so if the Reuniclus did not knock me out, then I could have switched out into any one of my Pokemon. If he goes out to Swellow, I'm going to assume that it has Quick Attack, so I could go out to Silvally anyway and be able to take that regardless, because that has Protect Facade. I'm going to assume it has Brave Bird, and I'm going to think the last move is going to be Heat Wave. I don't think he would be running Steel Wing, and even if he was running Steel Wing, I have the Fortress, because there's no way you're not running Brave Bird. I don't think. If she's running Heat Wave with Steel Wing, that's too much. That's too genius. So to have the foresight to think that I would bring Silvally Rock. So here I'm going to switch out. I do not think that I can knock this out. I think Thundurus is my win condition at this point. So I'm going to switch out, and I'm going to go out into my Silvally, and he is just going to go for the Thunderbolt, and Thunderbolt is going to do a decent amount of damage. And at this point I am just going to go for the rest, and both him and I know that the timer is running low, and I'm pretty sure the game is over for me, because he has the Breloom, which can pretty much kill my Silvally because it's a rock type and his stab destroys me. But he goes for Substitute here, which is an interesting set. So he sub Thunderbolt Roost, probably Defog as his last move, I'm not sure, but he does have pressure, so this is going to be pretty annoying. Even if I had Sleep Talk here, I'm not going to click Sleep Talk, because I don't want to reveal Sleep Talk, and he's not going to switch out into Breloom there. I want to surprise him with Sleep Talk in case I do need it, in case the game does go to a timer, to get like a surprise kill on a Swellow somehow, because I do have red card on my Fortress. So he's going to go for Thunderbolt, and it's going to do a decent amount of damage. I really wish you could use a Silvally with with whatever item you wanted. So it would have been pretty ideal to have Silvally with leftovers here, but can't really do that because I needed the rock typing to take on the Swellow. He's going to go for another Thunderbolt, and Zapdos is way too strong. I'm going to wake up here, and I'm going to go for the multi-attack. And he is going to pretty much heal all the way up to full, even after the sub and the roost. So this Zapdos is looking really, really, really annoying to take down. But if he does go for the Thunderbolt here, I think Silvally, what's it called? I do think Thundurus will be able to knock it out with the Thunderbolt, because I think Silvally does enough damage to Zapdos. That was my mentality. So I think he's gonna keep subbing and roosting repeatedly. So I'm going to speed this up a bit. So I'm just gonna keep multi-attacking and doing this, and he's gonna keep subbing, and he's gonna keep roosting. The timer is getting really, really low, and my Thundurus doesn't have leftovers, so I could not heal it at all. Fortress doesn't have leftovers, so I cannot heal that at all either. And he is just going to keep subbing, and he's going to keep roosting. And my multi-attacks are running low, so I do want to catch him with a Toxic eventually, so that he can't continue to do this. And then I'm going to hit him with a Parting Shot, and that's going to be great. Because if he's Toxic, I don't think that he's going to want to go for a sub, obviously. So the Parting Shot is going to activate, and then with the Spikes and Stealth Rock up, the rest of his team is pressured. So I could maybe win on a timer, because Silvally has rest, and I could heal my way all the way up to full, my guy all the way up to full. So I think this is where I do go for the Toxic, because yeah, this is 100% where I go for the Toxic. because I had one multi-attack left to hit him with, and I didn't want to do it there because if he roosted there, I didn't have any other attacks to hit him with. So that is pretty much the only way that I could win at this point, I think, is that if I go out, if I rest here with Sylvally, and then he Thunderbolts, and he Thunderbolts my Fortress into the Breloom, because I don't think Breloom can knock me out. But he goes for Thunderbolt here, and he brings me down to 49, and I definitely was not expecting him to bring me down this low. So I'm pretty sure Breloom is going to be able to knock me out with pretty much any hit. And then Mach Punch would bring me down even lower, and that would be that. So here I'm just going to switch out into Sylvally. He's going to protect, and the timer is just going to end after this turn. So it is 3-3, but his team, his Swellow's at 50%, his Breloom is at 90%, and the Zapdos was at nearly 100%. So he was able to win that game 3-3 due to the HP differential between our teams. And that was a very, very close game. Didn't really play that game that well, and I definitely deserved that loss. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.